Hey everybody, I'm excited to share a little bit about my story with you today. As most of you guys know, my name is Kristen Wyatt. I am the founder of the Team PINK page. I am so excited. I run that page with many of my leaders. We have a little board of directors running the page for you guys, so I hope you've enjoyed this so far. And I'm just really eager to share my health story with you guys and kind of why I do what I do. So I remember being, just a kiddo and growing up in a way that, my parents would say, oh my gosh, you fell over, like, do you want a cookie? And it's funny because I tend to do the same thing we all do with our kid, right? Like, what's the easiest way to get them to be quiet? Like, candy? Anything? French fry? Right? Sometimes food can be a really easy tool to help you feel better, right? Well, without even realizing it, I think slowly but surely that was kind of implanted in me, not blaming my parents by any means, but I slowly learned these habits throughout our culture and my lifestyle where I would eat and it would make me feel better. And it worked for a while. I mean, they call it comfort food for a reason, right? It's not my parents' fault. This is like society. It's America. We think food makes you feel better. So for a long time, I remember even just growing up, not necessarily learning to eat the right things. I didn't know what really healthy looked like. I didn't know the difference between processed food and unprocessed food, or, the aisles in the grocery store and the exterior walls of, fruits and vegetables and that sort of thing. I mean, I ate what my parents had, but it was also fend for yourself, mac and cheese, Hot Pocket, call it a day. We'd have family movie nights on Friday nights where we got to pick out 2 king-size candy bars. Each kid got to do that. And I was like 5 or 6 having a king-size Reese's, king-size, Kit Kat or whatever it was. And that was just the thing, right? I drank Diet Coke. My mom drank Diet Coke, and it was just life. So growing up and being able, when I started making my own money and being able to buy my own food, I obviously didn't make the right choices. So I kind of yo-yo dieted my whole life. I remember taking diet pills in high school and finally feeling so much better about myself because I lost a ton of weight, and then I immediately gained it all back as soon as I started eating better again, and my health was just a wreck. I didn't even know what healthy was supposed to look like. I knew I had bad allergies. I knew I had hypertension, headache, migraines. My doctor said, well, you're too young to be so stressed, and gave me a medication for it. So I didn't really know what healthy was supposed to look like. And I definitely was not one of those like crunchy, all natural people by any means. But when Plexus came along, I wasn't looking at it at all for weight loss. Not in the least bit. I knew that I was overweight, as far as like society's standards. And I knew that I was unhappy because I wasn't healthy. I wasn't feeling good. I didn't feel like I was really investing in my health at all. But I didn't start it to lose weight because I thought that if it could help me lose weight, it was probably a scam. And come to find out, it's true. Plexus as a weight loss tool, as something that you take like a diet pill and it helps you lose weight without changing anything with your lifestyle, that is kind of a scam because it's just so unrealistic and so ridiculous that anyone would think that a company's product could help you drop weight when you were unwilling to change the way that you eat or how much you exercise, etc., etc. Now, I will say some people start taking our products and it helps with like bloation and going to the bathroom more regularly. And so they do actually scale back in inches, and maybe they have healthy lifestyles, but there's something else. There's an underlying gut issue. So when they address that gut issue, losing weight is kind of a side effect of that healing. For me, although that may have happened on a small scale, that was not going to help me lose 100 freaking pounds. What did help me lose 100 freaking pounds was finding out that my kid's gut was completely a wreck. When he was born, his gut was really a wreck because my gut was a wreck, and that's kind of how that works. And he was really sensitive to a ton of foods. He was breastfeeding. Breastfeeding for me was a really big non-negotiable. I really wanted to breastfeed, and I was going to breastfeed and kind of self-wean. It's something that was important to me. And I found out that my kid had a lot of food sensitivities. And I remember looking at this like 2-page long list of all the sensitivities that he had because we did a test for it, and just feeling so defeated, like how the heck am I going to conquer this? But Let me back up a little bit. In the meantime, when I was pregnant, I started taking Plexus products and I actually started feeling a little better. My headaches were getting less and less and stuff, but I still wasn't consistent. I ended up kind of stopping taking it. I only ordered 1 or 2 months maybe in a row and didn't really order consistently after that. And then when my kid was born, before all these food sensitivities or issues came up at all, my kiddo was born and I took him to the doctor and everything seemed fine until these food sensitivities came up, right? So I had been taking the products a little bit, easing into them, and then this is when we took my son. So I was already feeling better. I used to have, like I said, really bad hypertension, headache, migraines, and I was no longer having those. I had no idea why. I blamed hormones or something. I didn't think it was the Plexus. And then same with my allergies. My allergies like evaporated, you guys. Like the season would change, weather would change, and I was not getting sick, and that was not like me ever, like ever, ever, ever. So it blew my freaking mind. So here I was at the pediatrician's office, and luckily she was a holistic pediatrician, and so she said, okay, your kiddo's got all these food sensitivities because he had rashes, constipation, gas, like I didn't know what was going on, and she said he does not have food allergies though, like here's a list of all the things that are triggering this, but it's not food sensitivities or food allergies, he has leaky gut, and you probably have leaky gut, and you guys need to be on probiotics, and I was like, oh wait, I think I'm on a probiotic, and so I showed her the Plexus probiotics, she was like, yes, that's exactly what you need to be on. So she helped me up my dosages so that he would get it through my milk. I took 4 ProBio 5 every single night. I don't recommend doing that right out of the gate. Partner with your sponsor and you can ease into it if that's needed for you. And then I also would sprinkle it a little bit later on as he was eating his own food. I would sprinkle it in for him as well. So for now, though, he was just getting it directly from my milk. And guys, it was like night and day. Probably 48 to 72 hours of him being consistently on those probiotics, he was feeling so much better. But it wasn't because just the probiotics, because the way that our gut works is it's kind of like you're trying to heal something, but it's like when you're a smoker, it's like getting a lung transplant, but you're still a smoker. Does that make sense? So here's what was happening. With Jude, I had to cut out all of those foods. Then we were able to up his probiotics to heal his body and then slowly introduce the foods back. So for a while, I was cutting out these foods, and this is when I felt really overwhelmed because it was things on the list that I was eating every single day of my life, and I never cooked. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't enjoy cooking, and here I just felt kind of powerless, but I'll never forget. I was taking my pink drink, and it was like a middle of the day kind of thing. I took a pink drink, and I had a dessert on my counter, a donut, and my husband was like, hey, you gonna eat this or whatever, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, this donut here sitting on the counter, are you gonna eat it or do you want me to throw it away or what? And I about cried. I was like, did I forget that there was a donut there coming from me, the girl that would go through the drive-thru at McDonald's to get food before going to meet my friends at Olive Garden to have dinner because I didn't want them to see how much I was eating. Like me, I forgot about a donut on my counter, a sprinkled chocolate donut. I think that's what my husband says it was. I don't really know. But I'm like, I usually get cherry iced, but whatever. I'll let him roll with it. Anyway, long story short, I was blown the heck away. I all of a sudden realized I have people in my family that are diabetic, and I realized that my blood sugar was probably a lot more out of whack than I ever knew, because when that little pink drink started to regulate my blood sugar, I felt a physical, chemical power over foods that I didn't need it to function or need it to have energy or I would forget about it. And so I took that very seriously. I basically, the same way it was when I decided to work the Plexus business, I basically told my husband, game on. And my pediatrician said, let's just work on cutting out a couple of the foods up at the top, dairy or whatever, one thing at a time. And I'm like, isn't he sensitive to all of these foods on both pages? And she was like, well, yeah. And I said that I'm cutting out all of them, like game on, right? And it was because of Plexus. Yes, I have that attitude towards things. Yes, it was a non-negotiable for me to breastfeed. But when I am looking up recipes on Pinterest and I can't find a single freaking recipe that I can make that doesn't have at least one of the ingredients that my son can have besides dry chicken and sweet potato fries with absolutely zero seasoning because he was sensitive to salt and pepper, except for pink Himalayan salt, which I then found later, right? Got myself educated. But Long story short, it was discouraging. And there were times I was Googling every formula I could find to find something that I felt comfortable with to give my kid. And I would feel so discouraged. And then I would drink my little pink drink. And it was a big part of it was mental. A big part of it was the drive. But I would take it and just felt this sense of I didn't have that need anymore. And so I would take it right before I had a craving, and then my husband would be like, hey, I thought you were gonna go get a brownie because you were feeling a little crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. We already have the chicken. Like, that actually sounds pretty good right now. And he was slowly starting to see me change. So I never cheated. If I were to cheat, my kiddo would have gotten sick. So I didn't eat anything bad. I ate all clean ingredients. I didn't have any grain, gluten, dairy, soy. Like, I was a freaking extremist, you guys. I keep saying freaking, like this is an intense story. I was an extremist. So my situation is not going to be your situation for weight loss unless you really do want to eat so clean that you never ever cheat ever. But the health journey that I'm going on now, and I've even gained back some of the weight, and I've been consistently on the products, but I'm still breastfeeding. I've never taken our weight management products, so I can't speak to how those work. I plan on taking them after the new year when I'm done with breastfeeding because my son is weaning right now. But I can't speak to how those work and if they work. What I do know is that I'm pain-free. I have 0 allergies. I'm never sick. My kid is healthy and has 0 food sensitivities anymore. We've been able to introduce back every food group, and he's completely fine and responds great to it. He never gets sick. I feel an incredible sustained energy throughout every day, regardless of how exhausted I am from the night before with my 2-year-old going through a sleep regression, etc., etc., etc. Do I think that the triplex combo helped me lose weight? No. I think it helped heal my body, and I ate extremely clean, and that's what helped me lose weight. Am I thankful to Plexus, and do I think that if I hadn't had the pink drink that I would have said screw it, went to formula and had the cookie? Abso-freaking-lutely. I would have. And that is why I'm so passionate about these products, and that is why I believe that Plexus is a key component and reason why I was able to lose the amount of weight that I lost. But depending on where you're at, skinny is not always healthy. And some bigger people can be healthy. So you have to decide for you what your goal is with this company, with these products. Is it to get skinny? Then okay, talk to your sponsor, look at our weight management products, but just know that these are plants. These are not chemicals that are going to reduce your appetite, shrink your stomach, and make you skinny overnight. It's just not what we're about. But if you want to be healthy, if you want to see change in those habits that you've had, if you want to break those addictions, if you want to overcome things that you've never thought you could overcome, then you've come to the right place. These products, the triplex combo, everything that we've talked about here on this page, in this group, etc., is exactly what you need. So I know I've been talking for forever, but I hope you got a lot out of my story, and I'm just excited for you guys. I think if you decide to take this and commit to it and go and utilize these resources for your health, and we can all do it together. The new year is literally right around the corner, or actually if you watch this video later, then, spring, summer, bathing suit season's right around the corner. Like, we can do this together. We can do this together, and that's why I'm so thankful for this community, because back when I was starting, I had nobody, and now I know I can overcome this and get to my healthiest, most fit weight. I'm wanting to start working out for the first time in my life, and I'm counting on you guys to be there for me, and I'm really thankful for you all. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!